What's up, guys? This is Sean and welcome to another episode of the iherng podcast. And for this episode, this is a session I had with students of Nottingham University. So I think it's their investment club. And when they invited me, I said yes. So I think this is going to be pretty useful if you are still in that uni trying to figure out property. It's a real entry level. And I hope you guys find this useful. Enjoy. What's up, guys? Thank you for introducing me. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, hi, Mr. Sean. Can I call you Sean? Just call it Sean directly. Just drop off the Mr. It's a bit weird if I call you Mr.
Yeah, well, I'm not your lecturer.
Yeah. So, all right. I think we'll start off with. I think it's a pretty, like based on term kind of question. So this is their first question. What is property and how is it different from real estate?
Yeah. How is property different from real estate?
Yeah.
I think real estate is the proper term for the entire built environment. It's like you have buildings, you have transactions, you have law, you have legislation, you have financing, you have a lot of other things to make a property function in terms of economics. Then property is just the building lah. So that's why like I have a master's in real estate, not masters of property. That would sound really weird. Yeah. So but to me, it's a terminology thing, it's a definition thing. Like let's go check out real estate. It sounds weird, but let's check out a property. Then everybody gets it, right? So I think there's still certain difference in terminologies, but to me, I think when I'm buying, it doesn't really matter lah.
Yeah, so just to make it clear, so property is the asset itself, right? The real estate will consist the whole thing.
Yep.
Right? Yeah. Okay.
So second question, what's your first investment property?
For those who watch the channel, I think they are pretty familiar with it. So it's I bought that when I was 22 and 22. It's an apartment in Puchong. It's pretty cool. Until now, I'm still holding it. So just to share a little bit more, it's a walk-up apartment, and the main reason why I bought back then, I know there was no lift. Because I didn't want my parents to stay with me lah. So they need to plan the stairs, so I didn't want to include the stairs back then. I was that ignorant. But the main point was it was very close to the LRT station. So this is when the LRT station was still being proposed, and I just followed whatever I had in my bank, which is the initial 10% that I had. So I found that. So it's in Taman Puchong Prima. So now it's pretty cool. It's renting out for 1,004, but my installment is only 800. So every month I get extra 600 for anything else lah, Haidilao or whatever lah.
So actually quite high return now, because Puchong, I remember if like maybe 10 years ago, Puchong wasn't a very crowded place, like not populated yet.
Yep, you are right. And Puchong is extremely big. Like it's crazy, like from Subang Putra Heights up to Bukit Jalil, up to the edge of Cyberjaya, up to the edge of Serdang, still Puchong. So when you say Puchong, right, it's huge. So it really depends on which side of Puchong you are referring to lah. Every time you buy, right, oh, Puchong cannot make it one, but there are high-end Puchong and low-end Puchong.
I think there's one thing that you mentioned about this, because you are at that age, right, 22 years old. Like for me, myself, 33 years old, and I haven't started like property investing. I don't even know where to start. So this might be a great question to ask, like, how do you actually get started in property investing?
Oh, it's a very cool story. So when like for those who, again, I keep assuming people don't follow me lah. So for those who follow my Instagram, recently my home in Taman Sri Buddha was flooded. So it flooded for the second time. So the first time it was 1995. And when it flooded, I was staying at my aunt's place for a while. So she was the person that introduced me to the world of real estate. During free time, when I was working with her, hanging out with her, she fetched me around factories in Sungai Buloh. And she would just drop me there, like, hey, Sean, go down, go collect money. Okay, like, you want to do whatever you say, because she promised me chicken rice later. So I go there and collect money. Then after that, she fetched me again the same month, and again and again and again. So there was one particular moment I got kind of weird out. So why do people pay you money? And why do people just give you money like that? And she innocently just answered me, she is paying for my space. That simple. But when you are like 14, 15, up to 18, right? Then you're like, what is paying for space? So unless you are renting when you are studying, right, you will not understand the concept of paying for space. So quantity matters, quality matters. Unfortunately, for a lot of people who studies and stays around the same area, it's pretty unfortunate that we will not understand the concept of renting a space and the value of space. So I got it really early. And in my dinner table as well, so for my relative gatherings, Chinese New Year especially, they will talk about what share you buy, what forex you're keeping, which property you're collecting rent, why are you not selling, why are you not buying Desa Park City, why are you not buying Setia Alam. Yeah, so those are the topics that I was exposed really, really early. I think because of that, when I'm 19, I'm already saving up money to buy properties already. And back then also, very clear, we didn't have any other asset class. So there was only Forex, there was only stock market where I need to press TV3. Then I need to look at the green and yellow and, hey, you all laugh, seriously. So I was, when I was 16, I was 17, I bought my first stock already. I used my mom's remisier. So I need to call, hey, uncle, can you buy this warrant for me? After that, only like, it got really natural and I bought the unit without my parents' consent. So suddenly I just go back home, where have you been? I'll go and buy an apartment. No? Then my parents also like, oh my God, what's wrong with this kid? Yeah. So that's how it started.
But okay, let's say for example, if you were to go back in time or tell yourself again, what advice would you give yourself back then if you were to restart this whole process again?
Buy more. Buy more, buy earlier, don't hesitate, and buy better places. So unfortunately, I was restricted by my budget, and the budget is from my earnings as an agent. So I was working as an agent back then, and those initial capital came from my commissions. So I still remember my first paycheck is 17,800. I was selling factories already. So why work? Right? Normal people like you all graduate, work in the bank 2008, 2002. Oh, mommy, I got job already, right? But then for me, it's like 17, 18,000. Then which is weird. Then when I look at other grown-ups also as agents, they spend their money pretty easily. So I found out that they are 45 years old. From a 21 years old person, you think 45 is the end of the world? So old, right? How can people live so old? But then they still are doing the same thing. Therefore, I ventured out and I saved all those money and put into a property. My advice would be to put in faster. Don't need to think so much because eventually 10 years later, right, if you put any investment in a long-term period, everything will work. But if I can also advise him to do something else, is to look into Bitcoin.
Yes, Bitcoin.
Bitcoin.
Endorse Bitcoin. Okay. This property talk. Don't talk about it.
But it's actually correlated though. We'll talk about that later.
Anyway, we have one question for that actually.
Yeah.
What's the best investment property you've invested in terms of return, or the one that you just biasly love the most?
The weirdest thing is I buy all properties with the intention of investment. So I've always looked at only numbers, and that's how I also speak in front of the channel. But personally, the best one would be a terrace house in Johor, very close to the second link. And the main reason is the tenants actually work in Singapore, so they earn Sing dollar. It's a pretty cool return in that say, and until now, it's appreciated like 25% already. So it's maybe 150, 180,000, around around maybe 4 to 5 years lah. I think that is Amkong. If you know Amkong, it's like a lucky shot one, because I didn't really understand the dynamics. And for those who don't understand, terrace houses usually will not get positive ROIs on your rental. it means that the rental for a terrace house seldom can cover the installment one. But for my case, it surpassed. So I'm renting out that one again at a very good rate, and it's higher than my installment amount lah. So I get good rental returns and good capital appreciation, both sides. But the only I think that's a nice story to hear lah. But let me share a bit more about the bad side lah. The worst property I bought was a luxury semi-D lah. So it was 1.7 million, and I bought it when I was 28. So that turned out pretty bad, where I think I'll repeat this story again for those who have listened, just be a bit more patient. I've signed a 15 years loan. So for normal loan is 35 years now, right? So 35 years, a 1 million loan, you need to pay around 4,000, 3,000-ish now lah. But back then, you need to pay around 6,000. I took 1.4 million in loan. So every month, by right, I need to pay around 6,000 if I take 35 years. But I took only half the tenure. Therefore, I need to pay 12,000 every month. So my salary was only 6,000. So every month, I got in 6,000. I need to pay the installment 12,000, and that's only one out of my portfolio that I owned back then. So it was a very, very scary one, and that was also part of the motivation I started the channel, because if you listen from a person who have never made mistake before, I don't think it's that real also. But this was the real part where I need to go in AKPK, like for those who studied finance, right? AKPK, agency counseling, something for banking or whatsoever, to help people come out from money issue. Then I didn't have credit card for 4 to 5 years. Basically got no money to pump petrol, no money to pay toll. To a certain extent, I need to donate blood for food. So I was actively looking for blood drive around back then, because if I were to found one, I save one meal so I can survive another day. And the budget back then is 480 bucks, 480 ringgit per month, include petrol and toll. That was my expenses after having several properties in my portfolio. So if you know the good side, the apartment just now can generate positive income whatsoever, right? All cannot cover one mistake. Yeah, so that's a more wholesome story for you guys.
Yeah, that's the scary thing about property. I have thought through this. I mean, I haven't got any property right now, but I've always been thinking about this. Like, your first property would be very crucial, right? Because once you make that mistake, you basically have to go through all that thing that you just mentioned. Just now you mentioned all those advices already, but what can we look at? Like when we first buy a property, right? What are the things that we can look at to avoid as many risks as possible? Yeah.
So I would say that because of that mistake, I learned from it on a very, very hard way. And I need to figure out how to make money on top of my job, on top of my side gig. It's still not enough. Every month there will be bankers that calls me every day. Like there will be 5 bankers of different banks, and I know their names. So hi Kak Ina, duit itu I akan bank, besok I akan bank. Okay, minggu depan. Sekarang memang tak ada lah, darah pun tak ada dah. So they will laugh, but the bank lah, right? They are the most cruel, most cold-blooded creature when it comes to loan. However, because of those lessons, I realized what I did wrong, and I came out with the 4 basic steps. And the 4 basic steps. Step 1 is to find out your intent, which is either investment purposes or own stake, right? And these two are pretty distinct. Step 2 is to find out your affordability, which is to fix your budget. I had that issue. I thought property back then, all buy sure make money, right? Because I made several great choices upfront. So I thought like my ulti sure win one. So don't even care, I can sure score this, but eventually it didn't happen. Then third of all would be to visit 20 different properties around that budget that you can afford. So let's say you can afford 500,000, then let's go look around properties, different properties, whether it's built, high-rise, landed, old, new, with swimming pool, no swimming pool, around that budget. 20 of them allows you to understand the market better. After you find that ideal one, then the step 4 is to pull the trigger, and you got to make sure that it's an informed decision and you make sure the risks are calculated. So those are the 4 basic things, right, that kind of covers. But a lot of people try to skip steps. Sean, no need 20 lah, Sean. I see 20, 3 years also cannot finish at 20. But I started my first 3 with 50. So out of 50 different properties, only I find one that I can buy. It was that insane lah. Yeah, those are the steps that I would recommend for a newbie, and how I wish there was a person like me when I started my first property. I don't need to bang the wall so many freaking times.
Actually, I have a question regarding your best investment property, the terrace house. You said that you can rent to a Singapore couple, right? At a higher rental income, right?
Yep.
And then why did they not choose the terrace houses beside that?
Your terrace so it's within. Good point. So it's within the area. Within the area, it's all like that. For those who are not familiar with the Malaysian culture of working in Singapore, they travel every day. So they will ride the motorbike early in the morning, 6 o'clock, take the second link over to Singapore. Then midnight, they will come back. Right? So it's a very weird thing to see back then. They ride motorbike to work in Singapore. When they come back home, right, in the house got a wildfire. Right? So let's say their income is maybe combined income is at 7,000 Sing dollar, right? In JB, you're a baller already. So
times 3.
Yeah, so you times 3, so it's at 21,000. Wow. So if you think about it, and then with that kind of spending power, then in that same area, how and why must they rent your unit? This is where the makeover concept comes. I need to provide better TV, better fan, fresh coat of paint or whatsoever. That's how they came. But just that it's now affected because of the borders being closed. People cannot go in and out. So currently, after MCO hit, then the tenants moved out and the rental dropped a little bit.
Yeah, regarding that, right? You said all those things like paint, all this stuff, right? So if you include that, then how much capital do you actually need to prepare to just start investing? If you consider all this stuff in, how much do you know you need to prepare?
Okay, so how much capital depends on what kind of property, and what kind of property depends on what's your salary. Okay, so a rule I would take is that 1/3 of your salary can be used to pay for housing loan. That's the rule of thumb. Okay, so there's a formula or the magic formula where you can divide by 72, get the magic number, whatsoever. You can get it online. But to me, quick number, let's say you earn 6,000, 2,000 can be used for housing loan. So every 100,000, you will get around 350 money installment for 35 years. So if 300,000, then it's 1050. So if it's 200,000, then it's 2100. So that's the amount of budget that is allocated or you can afford. With that in mind, then it depends also whether you've got credit card debts or not, you've got car debts or not, and your type of employment. Are you in a high risk entrepreneur type, or are you in a big major corporate? So they will adjust your loan differently. That being said, that was a very complicated manner. The easier answer would be make sure your salary got 5,000 first. Then get yourself insured first. Make sure that when you die, right, your parents don't have to pay for your kun choi. So you don't be a liability to your family after you get work, right? So if you get hospitalized, you don't have to worry, and that's very important. Secondly, have 6 months of emergency fund. It means that you can get fired. For the next 6 months, you don't work, it's okay. After there's two, only you start figuring out whether you can invest or not. So those are the criteria that I see pretty clearly right now, because anything below 4,000, right, you are urban poor. You are B40 in KL. Seriously, B40, bro. It's so scary. Unless you want to live in Perlis, so it's a different thing. Again, no diss to Perlis, but you can move to other states if you want to. But I think all the job opportunities and all these employment or job opportunities all are in KL. That's very real. So to answer again, it's salary. I think you reach a 5,000 salary, then you have insurance, you have protection, then you have savings, only you start investing.
Yeah, I think it comes down to personal finance again, right?
Yeah.
Before
because
you start investing.
Because I started with none. So I silang. So my apartment, the Puchong one, it was 330,000, I still remember. And I only have 30,000 in my bank. And the teaching back then is, you need 10% for the down payment. Okay, 10% I pay. Suddenly one lawyer called, the lawyer fee is 6,000. What lawyer fee? Then I have some salary, my salary ngam bank in there, going to pay that. Then suddenly another lawyer call. Oh, this is from the bank. So the banker lawyer fee. Huh? Why different lawyer? You all cannot talk to each other, man? Why must pay again? Then you have the valuation fee, you have the administration fee, you have chukai this, chukai that. Then when you get the keys, then the unit is dirty unless you clean yourself. You need to hire people. Yeah, so all those comes to an amount which is around 18% if you are buying a sub-sale property. The concept of 18%, or people say, okay lah, 18%, 500,000 means you need to have 90,000 cash. And it goes higher if the property value is higher. So it's a 1 million property, right? It's 180,000 cash. So it's pretty scary. That's why youngsters all buy from developers. It's easier, 500 only booking. As long as you can qualify for the loan, you can buy the property. So now it's a difference of profiles. So is it sub-sale? Is it auction? Auction is different. If it's sub-sale, then it's different.
In terms of return, do you think renting or selling property is more favorable, more profitable?
There's this saying, when you're young, you flip. When you are old, you hold and rent out. That being said, I was taught about that, right? When I was young, and it was the flipping era. Those people who buy property back then, right? Everyone is a property guru. Even my plumber, because I work in the developer, so my plumber is a multi-millionaire because whatever he just book, by the time he get the keys, he can sell like 50% higher. Don't need to work one shot. This plumbing business is a hobby. Okay lah, when the market crash, right? All in deep shit. So to me now, if I want to go really, really long term and to be a bit more prudent, right? My take is to always tie back to rental. Nobody can actually guarantee you the next 10 years, right? The value of the property will 10x. No one can promise you that. Who is so good that can promise, right? And they want to sell that info, also a bit cuckoo one. Why don't you buy all yourself, right? So definitely there will be an agenda behind. Therefore, my take is I started venturing around, asking all these real estate, really rich uncle, those in slipper and IKEA bags. You ask them like, how do you invest? Like, I was really shocked back then. They have 15 to 18 properties, 25, 28 properties. Right? One uncle in a Potong Vira. So they just tell me, so as long as every month rental can cover, go ahead. Even if when the property price 30 years later didn't really increase much, right? Did you lose anything? Every year, the tenant still pays rental for you. So you're building equity every year, as per se. So although every month, let's say when you break even, then they need to pay a little bit of maintenance. Year 1 to year 5, let's say rental is 2,000, okay? Easy for calculation. Per year is 24,000. 10 years is 240,000 already. Just sit there only. With that, it's definite. So the amount of changes in the market, right? Rental doesn't change, right? Like COVID, non-COVID, lockdown, not lockdown, business good or bad, right? The rental around your university also almost the same, right? So rental is the most genuine, the most bulletproof data. And whenever you all nego with the landlord, minus 50 bucks lah, minus 80 bucks lah, expensive, right? So it's that tedious. It's through that very detailed figures. So every time I invest, I would advise people to tie back to rental first. Because if rental can justify, right, capital appreciation will come later. Because later, like let's say when Andy and Shenzhen, you all grow up already, So maybe another 5 years, hey Sean, I want to buy property. You want to buy my apartment or not? You buy, immediately the rental can cover installment. Who don't want, right? As the rental increase, the value of the property will also increase. So that is also a safe bet because you throw a stone around Puchong or you throw a stone around KL, right? There's like a gazillion different apartments. I've done 600 episodes, right? Everyone still think that, hey, Sean, you visit so little property, right? So technically, I visit like around 400 properties. So people still think that, Sean cover a very small part of Malaysia. And that's like, technically, it's around small part of KL. So there's so many more, right? So what determines safety for your investment? The rental rates. So I would advise again to only tie back to rental rates for now.
But that's all assuming that your tenant continues renting your unit, right? But what if you don't have a tenant? Like some places, they're not attractive to people. We can't rent out the the unit we have at that place.
Then why you
do we
buy?
ensure? But like how do we ensure that we don't buy the wrong property? Like if it's like a newly launched one, how do I know that it can be rented out?
So that's the risk, and that's the difference between sub-sales and new property. New property all based on guess. You don't know, right? Because if you look into the sales and purchase agreement, which is the SPA, anything else besides your apartment unit, everything else, right, no guarantee. Right? There's no certainty that your swimming pool will look awesome. There's no certainty that your corridor is this width. There's no certainty that the drop-off will not be from left to right. Yes, there will be indications, but it's not tied in contract. That being said, you don't know how the building will end up like. And with that being said, you can guesstimate. So now let's say location A, it's launching this price, 500,000. 500,000, your money installment is around 1,300, 1,280 around there, right? Then your installment is 1,280, the rental around is 1,000. Do you buy? Every month you cough out 280. Think about it, maybe because when you buy 4 years later when you get the keys, maybe the rental will increase there, or don't know. But if the rental around is 1,500, definitely higher than your installment already. I close eye also I buy lor, correct? But when you think about that, you think developers don't know how to calculate, man? Developers also know how to calculate. Under price, I will sure maximize my sales. I will sure maximize my profit. So I first launch low. Then the second phase, third phase, I will increase my price. There are formulas and ways to guesstimate location, but that's the difference between sub-sales and new property. So the sub-sales, you can guarantee, you can almost like for sure the rental is 1,800 because you look into iProperty, Property Guru, Prop Social, whatever platforms out there, the rental is around 1,300 to 1,500 for this unit, right? But the selling price and your installment amount is lower than that. Then you can go ahead. So when you say property like they rent out, cannot rent, right? That's a fear. And I do agree, there's a fear that people will think that why tenants must stay with you forever, man? Actually, tenants change, like for the apartment, again, the same Puchong apartment. During MCO, I changed 3 tenants. And once one leave, right, within a week, the other one come. Then the second one leave, within 2 weeks, the third one come. And that depends on the treatment of your unit. So because I worked in the makeover guys as well, all my units all changi looking one. If you look into the pictures, right, it's actually more beautiful than the house that I'm staying. So that my rental units are actually more beautiful than my home. Very sad, but all investors all like that one. So you see, I wear like normal $17 t-shirt, but the amount of properties all went through makeover one. Why? Because it's a business, and by nature, how do tenants pick rooms? They go online, they see pictures, right? So as a landlord now, it makes more sense to beautify the picture of the unit, which is to do decoration and whatsoever. So those are ways that you can mitigate the risk of your unit being empty. Another thing is to don't ask like crazy rental or everybody going 1,500, then I want 1,800, don't want my unit the best. So it also comes to that.
I believe based on this, right, then you are probably a person who likes sub-sell property more.
The problem is capital. How I wish I got a lot of money that I can just buy. So if you have capital, right? So this is how I started. For those who are listening, especially for first time, right? It's very useful because I got no money. I only have 30,000. I buy the apartment. Then for the next 6 months, I every day eat apartment. KFC also cannot because too expensive. So I put in money, but then I need to buy another one pretty quickly. What I did is I take my SPA, the sales and purchase agreement. You can go to KWSP, which is called your
retirement fund.
Yes, thank you. Retirement fund. Then they have an account 2. So your retirement fund, every month you pay your EPF. There's like account 1, account 2, and account 1 cannot touch one. Account 2, there's an allocation. So there's a rule where you can take out 10% of your SPA price or everything in your account 2. So my account got around 30,000. So I take my SPA, I go to the KWSP, I take out the 30,000 again. I buy another property. So very fast, I got 2 property. I want a 3rd property. Capital, how? Sell my kidney, cannot. So I go and buy a new property. But new property, the problem is I need to wait for 4 years. So that's why a lot of people stop at the third property. Also because of the loan margin. So the first two residential property, you can take 90% loan, which means if it's 500,000, the property, you can loan 450,000. So the second 500,000 property, you can loan another 450,000. But the third 500,000 property, you can only loan 350,000. So what happens to the remaining money? All needs to be in cash. That's why a lot of people all get stuck at 2. Because the third property, right? No one has the gap. No one walks around with 150,000 cash. Right? And we are talking about a 500,000 property. We know how low 500,000 is in this today's context. But if you will need to buy a sub-sale 500,000 property as your third property, you need 150,000 cash. Insane. That's why I stopped. Yeah. So you can still do a lot of other things to make more to play around, where you can take your rental income to justify as your income. I think a lot of people don't know this trick as well. LHDN actually no, LHDN. Banks actually consider rental rates, rental return, the rental collected as income. So let's say my income is 5,000. I collect my rent is 2,000. My monthly installment is 1,500 only. Because I do a lot of homework, I found this gem. 2,000. The bank will take 80% of it, which is 1,006. So they will consider 1,006 as the income. Minus my installment, 1,005, I'm 100 ringgit richer. So when I apply my first 500,000 property, my income is 5,000. But when I buy my second property, my income is 5,001. So indirectly, I became richer by having a property under my name that is rented out. So for a lot of people who buy the first property as a home, then they are in big trouble because your 1,005 installment is fully deducted from your income. So you are left with 3,005 for your next property. So 3,005, you cannot qualify for the loan already. So sorry, cannot buy. So what investors do is they buy 2 properties, but they rent a property that they stay because they want to make sure the slots are used for investment.
So does that mean that the more property you buy, the higher the down payment will become?
No, after the third property, then the rest is all 70%.
Oh, 30% down payment.
Yeah. That being said, it also depends on your income level. So like how much more can you buy? When you understand people buy 28 to 30 properties, what kind of income are they having? And all needs to be managed in terms of renting. So if I have one property who gives me more rent than my installment, I can just duplicate this method. Right? What I also do is I wait out for 5 to 10 years. That's it. So the same Puchong apartment again. This apartment going to be very famous. So this same Puchong apartment, 430,000, it's now around 500,000. When I take the loan, it's 90%, so it's around 297. Let's say 300,000. Okay, it's for maths. The 300,000 loan today, it's only left maybe 210,000. 220,000 ish. That's why my installment is only around 800. But my rental has increased from 1,002 10 years ago to now 1,005. The property price 330,000, now 500,000. Okay, a lot of figures around here, but just stick with me. So now it's 500,000, rental 1,005, but I owe the bank 200,000. I can refinance it. So because I got no money to buy more, I need capital. So what I do is I refinance this property. I push to the bank again. Hello, bank. This property I want to refinance, and they will take 80% of it. So if they think the value is okay, 80% of 500,000 is 400,000. So 400,000 minus the amount I owe the bank, which is 200,000, I can catch up 200,000, right? And this 200,000 I will take and go and buy another property. But this 400,000, right? The money installment is now around 1,006, 1,007. It's okay. Now I have 200,000 in my bank, but every month I cough up 200. So you think about that. So a lot of people are like, I want ROI positive for my rental, but now I got 200,000 cash. You should even buy that property first. Then this 200, and this is like your third, fourth property already. And you do that again and again and again and again. So that's why property is a very, very long-term game, and the value only increases, whether by a lot or by little. Is it overwhelming like that? Am I sharing too much?
My brain is processing, but I kind of get what you mean.
Yeah. So it's generally, right, an increase of equity. I think like your study finance, like the concept of equity is pretty important, where a house I buy today at 300,000 will worth higher in the future. And it makes sense to take loan to buy something that will increase in value in the future. So it's totally in contrast to car. But car, if you don't have, you cannot go to work. So it's a need kind of thing. But for investment, it's very important to understand that concept. So I take people's money, buy the property. I use people's money again, which is a tenant, to pay my installment. Then I leverage on their time for the next 10 years. Then I can repeat this game again. So it's not that difficult on this game. It's not that complicated. Just like if I were to make it very simple, right, then everybody can join, or I can make it super complicated so you'll pay me money to learn.
Yeah, I get it. So, Sunsen, next.
Actually, this next question, I think, is back to the 4 rules you mentioned earlier, the first one. So this person asks, what kind of property should I invest in? I think it's based on the intention, what they want. Right?
Yeah. And maybe let's drill down a little bit more. Investment also got several types. Are you a person that wants cash flow oriented? It means that, okay, I buy, I rent out every month, maybe extra 50 bucks, maybe extra 80 bucks, right? Or I want to buy something I hold for 3 to 5 years that I can flip for 100,000. If you are flipper, then I would suggest you go for landed properties, landed homes in popular existing locations. The sad thing to that is all are very, very high priced. So unless you have $1 million, you buy, then you sell 1.2 million, fine, right? But now it's very hard to find a property, a landed property, freehold that is less than $1 million in Klang Valley. So got, but a bit further, right? Around your uni got lah still. But it's so far, you travel to KL, walao, right? If you are going for rental kind of thing, then it's apartment, high rise. But a lot of people neglected this. If you look into the statistical department of Malaysia, number one, capital appreciation is landed properties. I call it the nasi lemak property of all Malaysians. You buy property, right? When your parents come and kacau you, sure say, "Aiyo, Shenzhen, please go and buy landed lah. Why you go and learn people buy condo, right?" But comes to the second, right? Very, very close. The second component is actually high rise. High rise will increase in, can get high rental, can also appreciate in value. Just that high rise came into Malaysia a little bit later. So high rise in Malaysia, not that long, around like 50 to 60 years.
Okay, so next question. What are the basics to property investing? Like, what's the legal age to buy property?
18. Okay. So it's that legal age for you to sign any contract, and you need to be in sound mind. You need to have zero illness mentally, and that is the problem where a lot of people thought I signed already, I can sue people for cheating me. No, you can't. So in Malaysia rule, nobody is forced to sign anything. So when you sign on dotted lines, which is in the SPA, there's this dotted line on. They call it very cool for those adults. Oh, you signed on the dotted line. Actually, I didn't know what was it. So I go and look at the document. Oh, they got dotted line. Then you sign there. Then everything is sealed. And a lot of people thought that buy property or sign contract is like main masa like that. Especially youngster. I buy it, can cancel. Can. A lot of penalty law, a lot of money loss law. Can. But that being said, I was going to buy one when I was 17. So back then, that didn't happen because that is how I learned. I go and engage lawyer. Hey, lawyer, I want to buy property. Boy, how old are you, boy? I'm 17. I got money. Cannot lah, boy. 18. Oh, I see. That's how I learned. That's why I need today. I still remember. Can I lecture already?
Okay.
So what is Bumi lot and what is non-Bumi lot?
Okay, so when a particular developer develops a land, right? I want to build, let's say, a 500 unit apartment. There will be allocations to Bumi lots and non-Bumi lots. Bumi lots means units that only Bumi can buy lah. And Bumi here is not only Malays. Bumi here includes those Peranakans, those orang asli, those in Sabah Sarawak, right? So they in their so it's more of a status kind of thing. They can be Chinese, right? They can be Chinese, and they are like my friend from Sabah. He's a Chinese, but he's Bumi, so they can buy all Bumi lots. Okay, so Bumi lots and non-Bumi lots, again, the difference is there's a requirement for the developer to provide certain percentage. For example, in PJ, a lot of high-rise need to provide 50% Bumi lots, which means I built 2 blocks, which is 500 units, right? 1 block, all Bumi lots. And when Bumi buy, they get extra 10% or 15%. But the problem is not all sold. So the developer can appeal to the government to release the Bumi status. So when the Bumi status is released, like now after 3 years of marketing, the building still building, right? Why still got unsold units one? SM say sold out one, or those are the Bumi release units. The confusion between Bumi lot is not with non-Bumi lots. It's confusion with Malay reserve land. So Malay reserve land is a whole different thing again. Malay reserve land is only Malay can buy. And it's also particular to different states. So in land matters, state, which is the Sultan, has the highest power. So in, like, for example, if you are in Terengganu, you follow the Adat Temenggung. Then if you are in Kelantan, you follow Adat Pepatih. Let's say when you die, your Harta Pusaka, which is your estate, which is your property, goes priority. There are priorities that goes to women first. Then some goes to men first. Then if it's in Malacca, different rule again. So every state will have different land law. Then every state, inside the state, you have like district. Every district got different government again. That's why being a developer in Malaysia is very, very challenging. If my land is everywhere in Malaysia, all got different rules. Again, back to Bumi lot and non-Bumi lot. Bumi can buy, Bumi cannot buy.
Yeah, I always thought Malay reserve land and Bumi lots were the same.
Different. And Bumi can buy non-Bumi or not? Can. Non-Bumi can buy Bumi or not? Technically, cannot. But it can be done. So, beauty of Malaysia.
Okay, and there's actually one person that asked me through private message this question.
Wow, so why don't I let people see your question?
I'm not sure. Let me just ask her. So this person asks, may I know how much does surrounding factors affect ROI of a property, whether positive or negative? So the positive ones, this person gave public transport, roads, good feng shui. Then for negative one, probably they give high tension cables, symmetry, or dump site. Yeah.
The answer is everything. An apartment in KL and an apartment in Kedah and an apartment in Penang, it's still that same 1,000 square feet. What really gives value to that apartment is the surrounding. So the surrounding can be what you say, public transport. Ding. Then you got a lot of corporate offices. Ding. Why next to KLCC is higher? Not because it's a tourist spot, yeah, partly of it, but you have a lot of offices. And why do people rent in the first place? People rent for convenience. Like you all study in Nottingham, right? Will you buy a house in Nottingham just because you studied there 3 years? No, right? I rent 3 years, I go and invest somewhere else. And that's the same concept. If you are posted, let's say if you're from Ipoh or you're from, I don't know, Penang, right? But you get a job next to KLCC, let's say Menara Citibank. Will you rent a space closer to Citibank? Of course, right? Therefore, a lot of job around there will be a lot of demand for temporary space. Will you necessarily stay there? What if I change company? Right? So I will not buy a particular place just for a job, but I would rent. Then all this comes into play. Convenience, connectivity, amenities, security, privacy. And if you are buying for own stay, meaning I want to build a family, I want to get married, have kids, right? Then the safety, security portions of it will be heavier. Then let's say like cemetery, high tension cable, junction, feng shui is overrated because I only look at numbers when I invest, really numbers driven. Unless I buy a home, then okay, I'll get a feng shui master in. Yeah, basically whatever that person said is true. So environment dictates everything of a particular property. Mm.
So next question from another participant. What are REITs, like real estate investment trusts, and are they better than investing in physical property?
REITs are a class in stock market, so it's a share, right? Where a company forms REITs. It's somewhat like a management thing, lah. So, okay, in Malaysia, there's this rule where if you want to turn your business into a REIT, your revenue of the business must be purely from consistent income generating properties. In other words, friend lah. They must make it like very changgih, okay? So for example, if office building, I want to turn into a REITs company. So I now own the building, but all the rental is actually income or revenue for my company. But then all the maintenance of the asset is now expenses. So what people do is for KPJ hospitals, the building is REITs. The business of the hospital, the medical practices is the business separately. So the building owner now collects rental from the business every month. So in other way, it's a way to liquidate money from the market. Instead of me just owning the building myself, now I get to IPO it. Now people buy my stock, then I get all the money, cash, they are going to do something with it, right? So is it better in investment and how is it compared to property? The difference will be leverage. So if you buy REITs, it's pretty safe because your income comes from rental. So it's pretty boring as well. It won't be suddenly like, oh, we increase the rental rates for 10x. All your tenants will chow. So it wouldn't happen. So your income, your returns of investment is going to be very, very stable. In other words, very, very boring. Last time when I started investment in REITs, Sun REITs just came out. Sunway REITs, then Pavilion REITs just came out. So when it just came out, it's a very new concept. Therefore, there's this certain influence of people goreng the stock. So suddenly I made a lot of money from there. And I did my master's thesis in REITs. So I use real life data and go and submit as homework. Then I also graduate. Yes. And because of that, I learned that the return is not that great, especially when I'm young. Again, the difference is then leverage again, where I get to loan money from the bank to buy property. I cannot loan money from the bank to buy REITs. So let's say it's a 5% return consistently on your 10,000 ringgit. Okay, if you want, then it's okay. But if I want to buy property, a 10,000, I can go for a lot more things. I can leverage 90% of it. So it's a very different concept altogether. And it depends on also what are your risk appetite. For those that is under loan, right, they cannot sleep. When I have friends who buy property already, and night they cannot sleep because they owe the bank a lot of money. Then you need to think about that. So there's no right, no wrong, just that preference.
Okay, so move on to the poll question right now. So thoughts on real estate investing in the metaverse. The question is, what do you think about the future of the property market since the metaverse is rising? Sean can talk about your thoughts on real estate investing in the metaverse.
I personally invested a lot in Earth 2. So it was way before metaverse came up. And it was me buying virtual land in the internet, and I bought a lot of them. So before MCO 1, I bought. Then now it's like increased like 60%. Yeah, so if you imagine, so if you invest 100,000, so it's 160,000 today. Is it better than the properties? Yes. Is it certain? Don't know, right? No one can really say that it's definite. But my problem here of the metaverse is this. There's no real expert yet. So you have Facebook just because they have a lot of money. Then suddenly Google might come in. Suddenly Amazon might come in. Just like the spaceship thing. Like you have Tesla pushing, right? You have the Elon Musk pushing the technology. Then suddenly the Jeff Bezos also went up to space. You can anytime have another person that just comes in and dominate the space. But in metaverse, you look at all those like what land? The NFT thing. The
Virtual land?
This company, Sandbox, sorry.
Sandbox, the
So
Sandbox.
if it's like something like Sandbox, then it's pretty much matured because the gaming component is actually more than you living in it. You get what I mean? So it's impossible that you wear Oculus and you work inside for the rest of the day. It's not there yet. So you still need to work in real life unless we're talking about 30 years down the road. That's very different. So and at max, it's now like what we are doing right now. We are in a virtual land, just that maybe we are in the same room and you can see me, you can see my 公仔, you can see my NFT there. Oh, you are the Shiba sitting across me. Then you are like a dog in that virtual land, in that metaverse thing. Then it's also debatable. But now there's a lot of money in that system. And that is often misunderstood as the need of it. Because a lot of people from crypto days, right, they made all their money. Now they pour into NFT and they pour into metaverse.
Yeah, I get the recent hype about NFTs and metaverse. So, Sansan, can you open the results? This one is not the result. Oh, meanwhile, we'll start answering other questions from the participants. So this participant, he said that he has been watching a property video for quite some time now. And he's 22, already having emergency savings and got into the stock market and also currently invested in robo-advisors. He plans to invest in property once he returns to Malaysia. But at the same time, a large capital is needed to get into the property game. And he is afraid that it might limit the future investment choices that he might have. What's your suggestion on his situation?
Build more first. So let's say your whole asset class is like 100,000. But if I were to buy a property, then I will need to use the entire 100,000. Then it's not advisable. Wait till your pool of money gets a little bit bigger first. Another thing is also when you're 22, it also depends on your income first. My suggestion to not look at property investment first, look into income generation first. Maybe a job, a business, a YouTube channel, trading crypto or trading NFTs, and you guys are in that perfect realm right now to do all this. Back then, when I started property investment when I was 22, I didn't have anything else. After 5 o'clock, you cannot trade stocks already. I need to wait until Monday 9 o'clock to do anything else. Now I buy crypto in my sleep. Market drop. Okay, buy some, then I go and sleep in my bed. Right? It's so easy. So technologies are enablers and they provide you different alternatives. So whatever, if I'm 22 today, I will not buy property first. I will maximize whatever I can to generate as much income first. Property can wait. Because property ultimately, right, yes, it can be a very good return kind of thing, but the commitment is real. Whether or not you got job, whether or not you got girlfriend, whether or not you're sick or not, I need to pay installment one. If the day comes on the 7th, you need to pay. On the 7th, you need to pay. No negotiation for the next 35 years. That's a very huge commitment that a lot of people are like, easy. Until you are certain of your career, you're certain of how you make money, then only figure out property. If not, flexibility needs to be top priority in your list. Suddenly, like, okay, metaverse is on, Facebook just invented something. Oh, I pour all my money in, right? Or your friends, hey, I got this NFT project, I need some funds to hire people. I need like 30,000. You got but when you buy property already, you don't have this kind of opportunity anymore. You don't even have a chance to try. So that's my take. Unless you're very certain, okay, I work for this company and I am in love with it, it's impossible that they fire me, aka government servants. Unless I do something really, really bad, they will shift me to another state and they won't fire me. Then I'm okay, right? Because now with the uncertainty in the working environment, anytime any business can close down. So certainty is not on your side. Therefore, I will not advise to buy property until you sort out your career.
So that means build your own income first before buying property. Have a stable income, stable job, climb the corporate ladder until you have a stable income. Yeah.
You're right. And I think the misconception is this. A lot of people thought buy property can make money. It's a wealth diversification tool, not a money-making tool. Again, it's a wealth diversification tool. It's when I have 2 million today, I want to make sure part of my money is worth the same 30 years from now. That's why I park in real estate. Because if I were to park 1 million, let's say you have only 1 million, would you buy 1 million Ethereum? just suddenly drop 28%, will you cry? You will. But property, you won't. It also means that it will not be as volatile as well. So indirectly, it's just putting time on your side when you buy property.
So another question from a fan, a big fan of you, of your YouTube channel. He said,
Thank you.
Regarding buying properties, what analysis process do you do to know if a property would produce returns?
2 data points: the existing rental rates and the past transacted price. So if I were to buy, let's say an apartment in Bangsa, let's say that, right? Let's say it's 800,000. How do you know is it expensive or cheap? That's why I call this the Kailan theory lah. When you go buy Kailan today, right? Anybody know half a ketty of Kailan how much? Let's say 350 lah. Is it expensive or cheap? I don't know. So what you do? You go to the left store, auntie. Hey, auntie, 1 ketty Kailan how much? Or 350. The other one, $3. Then 380, you know it's expensive, no? Then you go and ask why one. Hey, auntie, why your one 380 expensive? Oh, my one, import one lah, my one organic one lah, my one got a lot of people buy one lah. Then you start figuring out, the market for Kailan is from 3 ringgit local, 320, this one try to make money, 380, it's organic. Then you know the price, then only you know whether this property is expensive or cheap. Same theory. Rental data that you can also fix against your installment amount. That's why I tell people to buy younger. It's because your loan is 35 years. You can drag the longest. When you drag the longest, your loan amount is the lowest. So only die lah to buy. And it's very easy to break even when we buy young.
Okay, so Sansan, can you move on to the Q&A? Yeah, so second question. What do you think of keeping a long-term tenant? How do you increase their rental? Like, how do you have the guts to tell them, hey, next month I increase you 100 like that?
It depends on how confident you are towards the market. And it requires a lot of homework, definitely. Like when I rent out 1,002, when a tenant leaves, then the next tenant comes in, I tell them 1,003. They say yes. Okay. Then they leave again. 8,006. Hey bro, cannot lah. Your neighbor 1,004 only. 1,005 okay. Okay no? That's how you slowly jack up. Not halfway through the tenancy, because you need to sign tenancy agreement, right? But if it's a business kind of tenant, then it's actually included in the contract, where every 2 years I will increase 5 or 10%. So it's pretty cool lah. That's why for those who have not rent out properties before, there's definitely this fear of not finding tenants. But for those who have rent rooms before, you know how rare good landlords are, right? Good landlords are like, wow, never like 神仙 when I never see one. All landlords, all devil one, right? So if you be a good landlord, a lot of tenants don't want to leave. Sometimes my tenants increase their own rental. Like my house in JB, last year was 3,000, then January they put in 3,003. What's so good one? Sean, we want to sign a new tenancy agreement with you, so we revised a bit 3,003 because we know our tenants next door is paying 3,005 because they like me as a landlord because I never kacau them. Very good. It's also to look at the tenant as a business. So to look at this property investment thing as a business. Now you have this person paying you 3,000 every month. It means it's a 36,000 contract. If there's a customer today who buys 36,000 worth of stock from you every year, will you treat them better? Of course. But why when they rent a room from you, you treat them like shit? Yeah, then when Chinese New Year, I send them hamper, hey, thank you very much, or let you what, so when you what, you won't leave, ma. Yeah, but also when they what, then he buy a new property, so he left also.
Yeah, I get you. So Sanjay, will you moderate the last question? I think it will be the last one. We can answer all.
All right. Then we'll pick the highest vote one then. I mean this one got 3 questions. How you want to answer? Sean would how you
never mind, I can read. So I love this kind of thing. What developers would you pick for investment? Based on experience, Sendirian Berhad smaller firms provide better ROI products because their construction costs and development costs are way lower than those public listed company. Because for public listed developers, the governance is more stringent, therefore the cost is higher, and as a result, their property price are also more expensive. But when you rent a particular location, you won't care which property is built by whom. You only look at which one is better. So I will always go for not developers, but as long as they are reputable, then it's can already. They have past records, can already. If the developer that you worry the most is built halfway, then zao, that's the worst developer. Then how to get the best deals on property? It depends on where you buy. Generally, there's a few. New property from developer, sub-sale from owners, auction for people who cannot pay loan, and there are bulk purchases. So bulk purchases are like for property speakers, or these are people that I spoke a lot about in the channel. So it depends how you buy, and most likely bulk purchases will give you the best buying, the cheapest price. But you need to pay fees to join the club. You need to pay money to join the club in order to get access to all these deals, because they don't walk around, hey, here got cheap buy. Not so good one. You need to pay money. And how will you guide Burrito? So for those who don't know, Burrito is my son. That's why I call him. How will you guide Burrito if he wishes to walk in your shoes? I will advise him to go in a different path, which means he will have Kaosan, he will have a dad that has a lot of real estate, right? You will have a property of real estate. So my goal is to own 25 of them. And if you start knowing that your father has 25 properties, go pursue your passion instead of worrying about money, right? So if you like music, if you like sports, if you like CrossFit, if you like NFTs, if you like whatever, and with the internet today, you basically can do anything. And what I hope he can carry is how a guy, a simple dude that just carries a camera and walk around apartments can get so famous. He can also do it too. So that's the thing that I hope for him when he walks in my shoe. Do we go to the second question, or do we go all this now?
I think let's move on to the polls right now.
Let's go move on to the polls then.
Okay, so since the metaverse is rising, everyone thinks that the property market will rise. But most of them think, isn't it that when if more people invest in the metaverse, doesn't that mean that physical property will be less attractive? But then if you think about it, physical property is what we need. It's a shelter we need to live in physically. So it's very
okay. So I think like when you say property market, it depends on location. So when I say like, okay, the question needs to be framed like future of property market in KL city center, then it might be different, right? Future of property market in Petaling Jaya, that is different, right? Because Petaling Jaya is more residential, a lot of people live there. So it might increase because now everybody work from home. Like now I get to hang out with you guys without actually leaving my house. And I don't have to go to the office just to meet you guys. On a conventional basis, I need to go to your campus, right? Will it be possible? No, because very far, right? So, so by the time I go there, right, it's 1 hour, then come back 1 hour. The talk is only 2 hours. So when traveling time, it's more than the time needed to do something that is not visible anymore. Then the property price might be a bit weird. So when you say future property price, there will be mixed, because when one drop, the people will start shifting somewhere else. So like when Indonesia moved their city to our Kalimantan there, or Jakarta, what will happen? It will slightly drop a little bit because it's not the best thing really. But we look at Putrajaya also, they shift all the administration from KL to Putrajaya. Putrajaya property price increases like mad, but Kuala Lumpur also continue increasing. So it's a question thing. So everybody's correct.
After hearing for you, I think there's a lot of things that need to be learned under property investing. I always thought it because I myself, I'm not from a finance field. I'm actually from engineering field myself. So
cool.
Yeah, investment stuff, it's quite new for me, I would say. And after hearing from you, like property investing, wow, it's so many things to learn under this property investing alone. Then not to say stocks, NFT. Yeah, so definitely for me, I would say yes, because I find it quite interesting. And
I would personally recommend, let's say if Sanjay, right, you're an engineering grad, right? So if I'm very envious of you guys being in this phase of technology change. You guys are okay. You guys kind of got stuck, right? Before you all graduate, then you all got everybody need to do virtual thing. Because last time I need to go office, and then suddenly like now new people that come to the office, I never see them before, but they submit their work to me every day. Like, hey, I don't even know how my staff look like. So it's pretty weird. But when that happens, there will be certain dynamics that change as well. And every time there's this change of wealth, And if there's a change of behaviors, there'll be transfer of wealth. If all this technology didn't happen, for example, crypto, for example, NFT, for example, social media didn't happen, right? The rich people will all look the same, which are people who invest in gold, invest in stocks, invest in properties. But now, the rich people all look different already because now they are crypto punks, they are yacht clubs, they are toads, they are kongs. Like for those who don't understand, those are NFTs. Then they are early miners, they are lunatics, they are Shiba believers, and things like that. So every time there's a change in technology, there will be opportunities for everybody to grab because money does not disappear. Money just flows somewhere else for those who can catch. So that's good. If not, right, we always blame the rich. The rich kids get to build richer because if it's a property game, if my daddy got money, I just use his money to buy more. Then he knows more people, he get more access, then he gets more better deals, then I can buy more again. While I just graduate, I need to figure out how to pay my rent first. That is not fair, right? But now it's an even playing field, which is good. So it depends on who does the most homework, who plays the right cards. And I absolutely love this current era. So no need to be too sad, like, your property very hard. Eventually you will buy one, especially when you want to propose to your wife or you impregnated her. You all didn't do protection during Valentine's. So then property will all come into the picture.
So guys, I want to know from the audience, what is the key takeaway for you in this talk? What is the most valuable information that you have derived from this informative talk? Like me, I just learned about that. Wow, we can refinance property. That it's like an infinity money producing scheme like that, the refinancing thing.
Provided the property you buy is correct. So if the property you buy can generate rental, then this game is infinity. You are right. But like for me, I stuck in the one that I need to donate blood for food. So one is enough to.
But can't you just sell it then restart?
Yeah. So but when it's not so nice property, right? So in fact, and this is exclusive for this company because this just happened just now. So I just sold my property. And weird enough, this is my first time selling a property. After buying so many, my first time I sell property. Because in my belief is I will not sell any property. Since it's generating money for me every month, right? Why must I sell like a goose that lays the golden egg for you every day, right? Why would you want to sell the goose, right? And the flower won't grow old one. The flower is like Benjamin Button and they will grow younger and younger. So they lay more and more golden eggs. Okay, so like regarding tenant management, what rules and regulations do you set for your tenants? Do you have any advice? They are standard agreements by the agents, but many of them tells you that they require fees like for $500 for that copy. So actually there's a lot in the market that you can just download or get from your agent friends. And it's pretty standard one. But now there's this new ruling that is still in discussion that took up the industry 3 days ago. Nothing is cast in stone yet, so don't know, right? But it's pretty simple when before and after you stay, there will be certain differences. Then you need to fix also like the lights lost already and you need to replace. So but suddenly like my tenants move out at the time, right? My aircon gone, then I'll need to charge their deposit low and things like that. So it's pretty standard. Don't need to reinvent the wheel, right? So it's all standardized. How do you keep on purchasing after the property with 70% LTV limit or markup SPA? So I buy properties with discounts. So let's say a property that offers me 20% discount, I still only pay 10% down payment. And the reality is I got cash. So I save up because if you look into my Instagram, I generally don't spend on anything. Besides watches, right? Luxury watches, I don't invest. I don't buy anything else. Like even my t-shirts also. That's why I get sponsored by Bottom Slab because my dress code is just too bad. So they just sponsor me pants. I'm serious. So it's cash and the deals of developers that provides me with high discount. So in fact, for those properties, some properties that I buy is within 30% discount. They give me 30% discount. So when I buy with 70% loan, I still don't have to pay anything. So the next one, do you pay off the loan over the years or do you finish the loan a few years ahead? I will not finish my loan ever. Every time there's more equity, I will refinance buy a new one? Because a housing loan provides the lowest interest rate besides PTPTN, right, which is 1%. Now this one is 2 point. I just signed my latest one, it's 2.8. I take $1 million with 2.8 interest. Inflation, right, it's 7%. Just understand that, right? If you put the money in the bank, it will devalue by 6%. But if I take 1 million from the bank, I only pay them 3 to use their money. So do I take more? Of course. But of course, it depends on the interest rate. So sometimes interest rate, when it's very high, then I will not take as much. So it depends on that current moment of time on the play of figures. HOC is no longer available. Is there any other incentive that first-time home buyers should be aware of? Nothing much, but developers will always give discount, and it has become a norm. So since you missed the boat, then too bad. I don't think it's going to come back soon. So we all waited for, I personally hold on a purchase for 2 months. Like after Chinese New Year, still no announcement, then I just signed the papers because there was no extension on the HOC. Normally, when will discounted properties be available? All the time. If you buy new from developer, it's all the time. If you buy from sub-sale, it's up to your negotiation skill. If it's from auction, it's generally 30 to 40% below market value. Then if you buy from bulk purchase, it's again all the time, because bulk purchase, we also buy from developer. So it's only if you buy from developer versus you buy from owner. How is crypto related to property investment? Please explain. I use the cash I have to invest in crypto, and I use my credibility to invest in property investment. Again, when I invest in property investment, I don't use capital. I use my income, because bank looks at income only. Then when I buy a property that offers me a lot of money, let's say 70%, developer offers me 30% discount. Basically, I don't have to cough out anything. I don't have to cough out anything to own the property. And the homework needs to be done where the rental can cover the installment. This property is then automatically self-sustaining. I don't need to look at the property for the next 10, 20 years. But my cash on hand, I want to flip it. Because if I don't do anything to the cash on hand, it devalues by 6% next year. So it'll be kanchong. So suddenly, if you have $1 million in your bank account today, very, very kanchong. Because if you don't do anything, you will lose money. How I can join your membership without having to buy an NFT? You've been watching your video for a long time. Okay, for those who don't know, I launched my own NFT project. So it's called Journey Around Malaysia. It's on OpenSea. And when you buy the NFT, you get to spend time and hang out with me for 3 to 4 hours first, one-on-one. Then we will be organizing workout sessions, property review with the NFT holders. Also go and shop for watches, because watches price also increased like mad. For those who don't understand, the watch that I bought before MCO almost doubled after Chinese New Year. It's insane. Insane. So if you want to join without buying, because my greatest resources is time, and I only measure my life with time, not money I have. That's why I put a price to the NFT. If not, everybody wants my time. I think my family deserves my time more. I say in Sri 2 years, flood incident, will it affect property price negatively? Yes, definitely, no brainer. But it will come back up, because since 1995, then the property was 200,000 back then. Before flood, it was 600, but now I see auction market is around 300. Pretty sad, very, very sad. How do you manage 25 properties if you don't sell? I don't understand. How do you manage 25 properties and you didn't sell?
I think it means that how do you manage the 25 properties even if one of them is giving you negative returns? Why did you not sell it and just manage 24?
Oh, no I don't have 25 yet so that's the goal. But I'm almost halfway there. My goal is why I didn't sell, because nobody want to buy. No, but it's because I didn't have a good price yet. So I believe everybody has a good price, like the golden goose analogy, right? Like the goose will give you an egg, right? But I will buy the goose from you. So I will buy a goose price of 30x just to own that goose. Will you sell to me? So it depends whether you need money or not at that particular moment of time. So because I didn't need money, I keep my lifestyle pretty simple. So I don't have to sell. Even if I lose money, I don't have to sell. But just that it gives me a lot of hassle, because it's in JB, then I cannot travel. Then because generally it's because of the travel restrictions, I cannot go down. Then I don't have anybody managing the property for me. So pretty stressful in that way. That's why I sell.
Does that mean you will visit all 25 properties? Assuming you have 25 lah. Will you visit it all 25 every month?
No. So now, for the rest of my properties are under this property management company. So like my company, my team, we established this company that manages property for us. So I have not seen my last 6 or 8 tenants before. But every month the money is in the bank, then can already lah. So this is the moment where I think my time worth more than money. That's why I can afford it. But when I started out only money and I don't have time. I got a lot of time, I got no money, so I do it myself. It's just different stage in life lah. So maybe we take the last 3. So we randomly go down. We can go down. So how many questions are there? Are there a lot?
Yes, there are a lot.
I think they keep coming.
Even in my side, I have got.
Hey, okay, ma. If no people ask, I damn just
so that's sad. But this one also a lot.
Yeah, I was shocked in the punya YouTuber. Let's go down. Okay, last 3 questions. Let me pick. Okay, so this one. Did you bought any property that delayed until become project circuit? I heard a lot about LAD, not LOD, LAD, and don't really understand how it works. Okay, it's different concept. Project circuit means when a particular construction site cannot hit its KPI. So government actually sets KPI for developers to build their property, right? Because I collect all the money, right? Then I don't want to build. Then I just hold. Then later I will download and bankrupt. Then those who suffer will be the buyers, right? That is project circuit. But LAD is when they hand over the unit to you late. Usually it's 36 to 48 months when you buy a property, you will get the keys to your unit. If anything more than that, then there will be a clause in your sales and purchase agreement. If you late how many days, how to calculate. So it's all stated in the contract. Would you purchase a property based on the potential upcoming MRT? Yes. In fact, that has been my recent purchase around the tracks. So I came from an era where there was no MRT, and I see the difference. I even heard of stories when before LDP, the highway LDP in Kelana Jaya, before that highway exists, and after that highway exists, I seen the property price change. So infrastructure plays a very, very big role. But not only MRTs, you can look into the new highways as well, which is the new Duke Highway, the new WCE Highway, the new SPE Highway. I spoke about it in a channel where there's a lot of brand new highways, and highways actually opens up access. When Duke Highway opened, property in Wangsa Maju exploded because suddenly I can go to PJ really near. So
one last.
So how many properties you own now, I cannot share, and I will not share, but I shared a few in the channel already. So there's I shared 3 to 4 in the channel already, so you guess how much I have. Okay. And would you recommend to purchase property outside of Klang Valley? Outside of Klang Valley is not Selangor, bro. Selangor is within Klang Valley. I don't know, bro or sis, right? So, but I would recommend to always go for, in the channel again, I encourage everyone in Malaysia to buy property in KL because, when you guys all graduate, right, where will you look for job? KL, unless it's a family business back in Kuantan, family business back in Johor. You reach to different, right? For those for us, Takong Zai, we will always go back to the city to look for jobs. And I guess that's all. And that's all for the podcast. Thank you very much for listening. If you really like this episode, like it, share it, and even subscribe for more information like this. Until next time, this is Sean Tan. Ciao.